Okay, wow, I'm here. It happened eventually. There's a reason I did not make any promises today about what time it would happen, but it did happen. But hey, I'm like set up now. And when I finally said it'll happen in 10 minutes, it did happen in 10 minutes. So, you know, we're improving. Um, Welcome to my new haircut. I don't need to talk extensively about that. I need to turn on the right screen is what I need to do. Because I'm pretty tired today. I have a little bit of caffeine here to like wake me up. Wake me up inside. Since I can't wake up. Can't wake up. You're understanding what I'm getting at. I don't have that tab open anymore. So could you find the tab I do have open, actually? No. Okay. Well, fine. And then, oh no, we have some Stray Kids things to watch. Hi, Kath. Good morning. Where are my Stray Kids things to watch? I know what I'm looking for. We're gonna do this the next Spotify session, and we're gonna do the intro. Maybe not in that order. We're gonna go with not in that order. I think. I want to do the intro first. Intro. This and that. Stray Kids. Thanks. Hey, I did it. I figured it out. I want to drink some of this caffeine before we get while we're what's the corporate terminology I want to use? Introducing people into the space while we're entering. Oh, actually, no, I do want to do the session first because so last time I did the Spotify session, YouTube did not kick me off, which was very exciting for me. Hey, oh, there's some YouTube issues. Why are there YouTube issues? Are there actually YouTube issues or is that a lie? That's a lie. I don't know why YouTube claimed there were YouTube issues. There weren't. Anyway, last time I did the sessions, YouTube didn't kick me off, but I am quite sure that it will kick me off for the intro. So we will do the Spotify session first, and then we'll do the intro. I'm more excited about the intro, but I have no faith in YouTube not kicking me off the stream. Spotify sessions. I also want to do a Nexi reaction, I think, to the upcoming music video since they'll be in Stray City and because I don't stan and I'm not going to stan. You can't make me stan. I don't know those people. I don't know those boys. There's nothing you can do to make that happen. But you know, I maybe want to react. The Nexi fans are really sweet. And they were really, really nice last time I reacted to Nexi. And so now I kind of want to do that just because they were really nice. Okay. So, be quiet. Okay. All right. Do we have people? Are people? Yeah, we have some people. Is everyone asleep? Probably, honestly, everyone's asleep. It's both a Friday, and I did not give a time for what time I'd be here, so that's fine. We will do this. What was I got distracted by Discord. Don't do that. I need my headphones. They're on the ground. Yeah, I got a haircut today. It's short. I think the this part. It's 4:30 in the morning. Why do you all do this to yourself? Are you still awake or have you not slept? Or rather, are you still awake or did you just wake up? Which one is it? I'm terrified of both of those options, to be clear. Like, I hate both of that for you. But I am curious. Anyway, so it's a little bit shorter than I'd prefer the undercut to be, but it's very funny right now because, hold on. I want to show this to you because it's so funny. What, have you considered sleeping? Why do half of the people who I interact with just be awake at 4:30? I worry about y'all. Anyway, my hair sticks to this part of my buzz cut like it's Velcro. It's very funny. Is it not gonna do it just because I want it to? No. Anyway, so that is one fun piece of information about the undercut being as short as it currently is. This is the funniest thing. Anyway, so that's my funny story about my haircut. All right. Per usual, gonna keep an eye on YouTube just in case it goes like, no, how dare you watch a thing and be commenting on it from an educational standpoint, which is not against copyright. How loud is this? Is this of appropriate volume? This is kind of a different audio mix than I am used to. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. It's a little quiet for me. And usually if it's a little quiet for me, that means it's a little quiet for you too. Because they definitely called Do It a comeback. That's fine. One day we will find consistency in our terminology. But today is not that day. Well, it's Han Pop. I can't tell if it's fully a joke or not. That Changmin actually legitimately has this question. Or if they actually don't necessarily like talk about this with each other in depth beforehand. I feel like it's got to be mostly a joke for the audience, right? Also, hold on, that face was incredibly menacing. Can we go back to that? Okay, can I get that back? Because that was a really great Han face. It was so menacing. There we go. There it is. Ah, I gotta take a screen cap of that and send it to Drea. Get some good memes out of it. Yeah, there's a good meme in here somewhere. I just know it. Yeah. You're not hearing it. Thank you for that information. I don't know why that would be. Let's what is happening with my, because I change nothing on my settings and then it just likes to change anyway. It just likes to change anyway, even if I have changed nothing. Oh, that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. Let's try this. Tell me if for some reason this is now echoing, because that's what happened last time. Still? Okay. If you still can't hear it, that's truly baffling. I just don't understand why. Why must everything change every time? That's not it. What am I gonna chat with y'all about while I figure out why the fuck this isn't working? Let's see. I don't know. What's going on with you all today? I mean, I could always talk about the internet, but who wants to talk about the internet? That's a terrible place to talk about. What if I just turn it up really loud? No, that's just not. That's just not. Why not? Why isn't it? Oh no, none of you are getting sound. I don't want to go because no one's getting sound, and that's not ideal. And I also don't know why no one's getting sound, because that's bizarre and should not be happening. Default. Is this the issue? Yeah, you're hearing me. That's on a different track. Okay, let's.
왔는데 이제 같이 작업하는
Do
형님이
we
안에 뭐
have
들어가
it
있냐
now?
해서 this and that 이러다가 하다가 그다음에 뭔가 잠깐 쉬는 타임에서 당 떨어진 것 같아서 간식 가방 가져왔는데 이제 같이 작업하는 형님이 안에 뭐 들어가 있냐 해서 this and that 이러다가
주제 좋다.
this and that 좋은데 하다가
나왔어요.
네.
되게 일상적인 부분에서 나오게 됐어요. 확실히 명곡은 계산하면서 하면 안 나오는 것 같아.
우리 칙집붕 때도 그랬고.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, for some reason OBS just like decided to automatically change the input source. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
탄생이 있다면 우리 After You 작업하다가 그다음에 뭔가 잠깐 쉬는 타임에서 당 떨어진 것 같아서 간식 가방 가져왔는데
So it was at a
같이 작업하는
song
형님이
camp.
안에 뭐 들어가 있냐 해서 this and that 이러다가
which is
그럼 일단
good
들어봐라.
information.
들어봐라.
알겠습니다.
Let's
예.
go get it. 그리고
예.
This and That도
예.
그렇고. 예. 궁금합니다 일단. 설렙니다.
뭐 지금에서 가장 따끈따끈한 얘기라고 하면은
또 이제
저희
새
새 앨범
앨범, 디센댓.
디센댓에 대한 얘기겠죠.
Yeah, let's go.
디센댓의 탄생이 있다면 우리 After You 작업하다가 그다음에 뭔가 잠깐 쉬는 타임에서 당 떨어진 것 같아서 간식가방 가져왔는데 이제 같이 작업하는 형님이 안에 뭐 들어가 있냐 해서 This and That 이러다가 주제 좋다.
This and That.
Yeah, this really does speak to like the way that they or sometimes the ways that they think of their concepts, which I mean it kind of just has to be when you have as many songs as they do. You have to get inspired by random shit. Right? Like you have to just like yeah, I did see him say in some other Spotify thing, I don't know which one, that it was during a song camp. But yeah, you kind of just have to, you know, a lot of people talk about creativity as something where like inspiration hits or it doesn't. And there's this idea that people who are very creative are just like the muses found them. And that is mostly kind of bullshit. People who are highly productive creatives who do a lot of creative work, they're not just like magically geniuses. They have better skills in finding creativity, right? They have honed the skill of being creative when you don't feel creative. It is its own skill that requires its own work. There's an author whose name I'm not going to say, very prolific author, piece of shit human, turns out. And he once talked about writing and talked about how the way you get inspiration is that you write every day. And you do it whether or not you feel inspired. Right? In order to be a highly productive creative, you have to be a highly productive creative, right? You can't just wait for the world to inspire you. Now, if what you want is to be a hobbyist, yeah, absolutely. Wait for the world to inspire you. Whatever. If it doesn't matter to you, if you're finishing things, if it doesn't matter to you how experimental those things are, if it doesn't matter, you know, XYZ, wait for inspiration to hit. But to be highly productive, especially to be as productive, and when I say productive, I mean literally producing a lot of things. My brain said assets because of game design, but like literally high production amount. You have to learn to find inspiration very often from mundanity, right? From just like experiencing life. And I think that that's sort of the lesson to take away here. I've seen some people take away the lesson of like, oh wow, like they're really getting like desperate for ideas, or like you know, they have such wacky ideas, or like they get inspired from weird places. And it's like, no, just like people who are highly productive in their creativity get inspired from mundane sources, right? You hear like this and that, it sounds good. It sounds good in Korean as well. Like it's a nice way of it has a lot of opportunities for like pun. It has a lot of opportunities for and at some point you just go like, oh wait, that's potentially a good idea, let's fuck around with it and find out, right? So I think that's honestly a really good lesson to take away, is random mundanity is necessary to be a consistent creative.
좋은데 하다가
나왔어요.
네.
되게 일상적인 부분에서 나오게 됐어요.
확실히 명곡은 계산하면서 하면 안 나오는 것 같아.
우리 칙집붐 때도 그랬고
뭐 이번 앨범 컨셉을 따로 생각했었던 게 있나요?
난
Yeah, okay, fine, Han. Just say it much faster and more concisely than I did. Whatever. Jerk.
그건 좋은 것 같아. 앨범명이 타이틀명이어서 난 그게 너무 좋았어.
그게 더 힙한 것 같아.
맞아.
이제 뭔가 이제 당연히 앨범에 자기의 이고와 뭔가 의미를 넣고 그 뭔가 대단한 연결고리가 있는 앨범이라면은 나는 뭔가 앨범 명이 따로 있어야 된다는 판데 솔직히 이번에는 그냥 우리 하고 싶은 거 한 거 같거든.
이거저거 한 거지.
진짜 이거저거 다 했어요.
And you know what? Listen. Skiz makes whiplash albums. Like, they make emotional whiplash albums. All of their albums are a little bit of this and that, right? So it's great that they have the opportunity to have a mini album where they could just say, like, we did it on purpose. That's the album thing, is that it's all a little bit of this and that. That's we did it on purpose this time. We swear, we promise. Right? Because that really is just what they that's what they fucking do. Is you get a mini album and you're like, there were a lot of emotions in a very short period of time there.
해가지고 그냥 진짜 this and that. 그래서 멋있는 것 같아.
맞아요.
트랙 리스트를 한번 보자면
Yeah.
지금 순서대로 Run It 그리고 타이틀
뭐였어,
This and That 그다음에 After You,
After You.
그다음에 Farming,
Forming.
그다음에 I Do,
I Do.
그다음에 Way Out,
Way out.
그다음에 그날
Genau.
그리고 This and That 페스티벌 버전입니다.
Hey, potato.
런닛 같은 경우는
웅장하지?
웅장한 그 자체 뭐 스트레이키즈 음악 중에 웅장한 노래 되게 많은데 런닛이 제일 웅장한 것 같아요. 벅차오르는 것도 있고 정말 오랜만에 또 3분 뭐 반 정도가 되는 길이의 곡을 또 가져왔고 그렇게 해야만 이 기승전결이 끝나는 곡이라서 그렇게 결정을 하고 구성을 했던 것 같습니다.
맞습니다.
그리고 디센드 타이틀곡이죠.
The joy I would feel if we brought back 3 to 3.5 minute songs. I miss songs of 3 and more minutes so much. I miss them. This is all I want.
전 설명이 필요 없다고 봅니다. 아메리카노랑 카푸치노 반대인가?
둘 중 뭐가 좋습니까?
붙인.
남편은 그냥 카푸치노 못하세요.
네, 근데 디센드이 진짜
Hanji
정말
sung
그냥
forgetting the
설명 필요 없는 노래인
lyrics.
것 같아요.
맞아.
되게 그냥 진짜 되게 1차원적이면서도
맞아. 이즈 리스닝이면서도 hit도 있고.
애프터 유가 여기 있는 이제 EDM이잖아요. 오랜만에 그냥 진짜 완전
I find it really interesting to label this and that as easy listening. And I think that it also really differentiate, like it shows us, as many of us know, I have a thing with definitions and our ideas of definitions and how definitions really change the way that we think about the world, right? When I think about easy listening, I don't think about lyrics. I think about the sound. You know, sometimes lyrics can make an impact on how difficult something is to listen to, right? Like for very particularly emotive songs, regardless of the sound, perhaps I do not find it to be easy listening. But overall, for me, easy listening is, I think you sort of think of it as like, and I think for a lot of people, you sort of think of it as like a song that's easy to put on in the car during a summer drive, right? Like it's summer road trip music. I don't think of this and that as easy listening. I like it. Like I really like this and that. But it's not like gentle, I suppose. It's not like an easy bop, right? There's a lot of dynamic changes. If you listen to the instrumental version is exactly as bonkers as you think it is, right? And yes, I would agree that After You is easy listening. I would absolutely agree, Isabella. After You, that is easy listening for me, right? That sort of Avicii like sound. Yeah, that's it's uncomplicated to listen to. It's uncomplicated to dance to. It's uncomplicated to groove to. This and that is fun, but it takes a bit, right? Now I know that it is sort of a in some places a trendier sound, but not everywhere. And I think that there is also then we have to consider, you know, our cultural definitions of things, right? Our ideas of music and what is going to be easy listening for different people is going to be both cultural and it's going to be neurological. You know, certain cultures you get used to certain types of sounds. You get used to sounds being put together in certain ways. Probably part of the reason that the sort of Avicii-esque sound of After You is easy listening is because, like, we are very used to Avicii-esque sounds. There is also the neurological at play of, you know, ADHD folks are going to have a very different experience of listening to certain types of music than, like, neurotypical folks. People who maybe have, gosh, I mean, I could list off all kinds of examples. Obviously, this is very, like, differential and personal, but people who have, like, very... Oh God, I hate using the phrase sensitive nervous systems in this way because it sounds like I'm saying something that I'm not saying because of the way that social media works. But people who tend towards being very on edge, right, are probably going to interpret music difficult and what's easy and difficult to listen to in a different way. You know, probably people who tend towards being high anxiety are not going to find it as easy to listen to a lot of the songs that just have, like, sirens going in the background that Skiz has, right? So, and I think that there's also something about, like, the types of people who are going to gravitate towards lyrics versus the type of people who gravitate towards instrumentals versus the type of people who are going to be pulling out all of those different things at once and really identifying all of them. So, like, I think that it's an interesting thing to hear what the song creators identify as feeling is easy listening versus what an audience does. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say on that. Music is fascinating from a psychological and a emotive perspective, so it's something I get a little bit distracted by when I start to think about it.
애프터 유가 여기 있는 이제 EDM이잖아요.
After You.
오랜만에 그냥 진짜 완전 생 EDM. 는 아닌가?
EDM이긴 한데 우리가
안 해본 EDM이긴 해.
EDM 쪽.
맞아. 안 해본 EDM이긴 한데
난 뭔가 우리 했던 것 중에 제일 EDM 같아 이게.
뭔가 그치 한이가 생각하는 그 뭔가
아비치 생각하면
그치, 약간
완전
아비치,
그때 당시
그때 쪽.
그때 당시 EDM 느낌.
이때 EDM을 난 진짜 좋아했거든.
나도 EDM
Don't say of that era. Sir, you are not that much younger than me. You cannot be referring to Avicii and Zed as of that era. Don't
do not remind me of the passage of time. That was uncalled for. I am angry now. I am now awake and furious. Just so everyone knows.
중에서 그쪽의 EDM을 제일 좋아합니다. 맞아. 아니면 뭐 앨런 워커.
앨런 워커 좋지.
그쪽의 EDM을 너무 좋아하는데
그때 향수가 좀 묻어있는
맞아요.
노래잖아요,
그 향수가 정말 묻어있는 노래죠.
이 트랙이야말로 저희가 0에서 시작했어요. 사실 저희가 만들 당시 EDM 느낌 전혀 안 났고 그냥 기타 리프에다가
It's just a guitar
그냥
riff.
구성 정도만 있었고
처음에 이게 어쨌든 그 작업을 하고 한국에서 이제 그 모니터를 받았을 때 방향성이 아예 달랐어요. 저희가 생각한 방향성과 너무나 다른 그에
너무
대해서
달랐어. 이거
다시 정리를 해서
그치.
진짜 딱 저희가 원하던 그거대로 다시 수정본을 받았죠.
아주 만족스럽게
I
잘
love
나왔어요.
hearing how these
Farming.
things change.
파밍이죠.
이게 원래 타이틀 후보였죠?
I know that there was, oh gosh, I don't know, some of the short form content that's been out. God, there's been so fucking much. God, promo season, it is so hard to keep track of content. Some type of content, maybe it's with Spotify, maybe it wasn't. Asked them about whether they start with lyrics or the beat first. It was one of the choose this or that, whatever ones. And their answer was like, yeah, that honestly really depends. I think they eventually settled on beat first, but you know, things like this, obviously we see that they started with One Direction, and maybe they started with maybe they started with that guitar riff and then made the lyrics, but regardless, the beat that we have currently, the lyrics came first, right? I was actually wondering exactly this, whether After You was a title track candidate, because they said while we were making After You, I thought of this and that, and I sort of wondered, like, I wonder if they were originally working on After You as a title track.
후보로 만들었죠. 만들었었죠.
타이틀 후보로
근데 애프터유도 뭐 타이틀 후보로 만들었던 노래고.
그래서 우리가 지금 첫 네 곡이
타이틀 후보.
다 타이틀 후보였어.
Oh, sorry, they were talking about Farming, but they were also talking about After You. Sorry, I obviously
잘
missed
나왔습니다.
파밍.
that they moved on.
파밍이죠.
이게 원래 타이틀 후보였죠?
I love
타이틀
Farming so
후보로
much.
만들었죠. 만들었었죠.
타이틀 후보로
근데 애프터유도 뭐 타이틀 후보로 만들었던 노래고.
그래서 우리가 지금 첫 네 곡이
Farming is also one that like is pretty one-dimensional. It's not like fully one-dimensional, but it's pretty one-dimensional. That's about League of Legends and using League of Legends as a fucking metaphor. Not just League of Legends, also Minecraft and Minesweeper. Very important additions to the metaphor. It's such an interesting experimental song, and then you're like, this song is about fucking nerds playing Minecraft and League. And it makes me a little angry. It makes me a little angry that we just let them get away with this. Like, what happened to gamers being uncool? We need to go back to our roots. I can't keep having my idol pretty boy group singing about League, okay? Make gaming uncool again.
타이틀 후보.
다 타이틀 후보였어.
그래서 파밍은 어떻게 생각해요? 저는 개인적으로 파밍은 우리 스트레이키즈의 또 다른 노동요라고 생각을 합니다.
맞아.
뭔가 그 곡 제목 자체도 파밍이라서 그러면서도 뭔가 훅에
I hope they make a choreo, and that's the choreo. Just and I hope that they sing the sound at the same time. Because this is me, right? This is 100%. I think this is every single person who likes farming.
맞아.
뭔가 그 곡 제목
Like that's
스트레이키즈의 또 다른 노동요라고 생각을 합니다.
맞아.
뭔가 그
in fact, I kind of want a short form video of just that. I think that would be a great clip for somebody who does like long video edits to have in between them, like a series of like Han being the most adorable Stray Kids member for 10 minutes, and like that's the like in between clip. Anyway, so anyone's free to use that. Really good idea.
곡 제목 자체도 파밍이라서 그러면서도 뭔가 훅의 소스가 너무 신기해요.
맞아.
너무 독특한데
맞아.
들으시면 되게 재밌을 것 같습니다. 뭐 스트레이키즈만 할 수 있는 음악인 것 같아요. 이 노래는.
I agree.
파밍이야말로
Yeah.
진짜 주제도 우리 그 방 안에서 파밍을 할까?
맞아.
이거 파밍 어때? 이렇게 해서
맞아요.
시작했던
제일
거였어.
빨랐어 파밍이.
저희만의 작업실.
한이 누워 있고
Farming was the fastest. Like, one of these fucking nerds was sitting there and was like, yo, what if we made a song about farming XP? And then, like, how much we've farmed XP as, like, Stray Kids. And we then you mine, and then just, like, yeah, wouldn't that be like, and it can be like kind of like cool and headbangy like item. It can be like items like weird older cousin who like comes by every now and then and has influenced item into be yeah. No, this is such a good idea, and they're just like mining things at the same time. I hate them. I hate them.
장미
자고 나 거의 마지막 주에 잤어.
밥 해달라 하고 뭐.
배고파. 거기 가면
하다 보면 배고파.
배가 너무 고파요.
근데 아이도
밥 해달라
저희만의 작업실.
한이 누워 있고 장미
자고 나 거의 마지막 주에 잤어.
밥 해달라 하고 뭐.
배고파. 거기 가면
하다 보면 배고파.
배가 너무 고파요.
근데 아이도가
I like that the implication is that he gets hungry when he goes there because Chan cooks for him, and so he keeps asking Chris to cook for him more, which makes him hungry when he goes there, and it's like this self-fulfilling cycle that is fulfilling. I would say fulfilling only for Changbin because he's getting fed, but like we all know that Pangchan finds deep fulfillment from taking care of these dipshits. You can't tell me that he does not find this deep satisfaction from just feeding this man he has known since they were children and being like, yes, allow me to nourish your existence as you have nourished mine. Like, I can feel it in my soul that Pangchan, as much as he complains, like, he perpetuates these cycles so that these boys keep wanting him to take care of them. I can just intuit it. I can intuit it. It's that parentified people pleaser bullshit in him. Oh, that shit is so excited that Changbin gets hungry every time he shows up. I just know it. It's in my soul. I bet you're right. I bet he did plan it first. I bet at this point he just knows Changbin is going to show up hungry, and this is what I can feed him today, and I'm going to like pretend that I'm not going to, but of course I'm ready to feed him. Why would I ever not be ready to feed my Changbini?
I do
Miss you.
이 노래는 영한 것 같습니다. 되게 영하고 되게 청춘, 좀 파랑파랑합니다. 그리고 또 희망으로 가득 찬 노래. 그냥 부정적인 거 아무것도 없는
Nothing negative at
희망을
all.
주는 노래라고 생각을 하고.
약간 그까라잖아.
In my head.
In my head.
아 맞아요.
약간 인마헤드의 연장선 느낌. 맞아.
그거
인마헤드 어지러워.
It's so interesting. It'd be good to listen to these two songs together. I'm going to take that too literally and turn them on both at the same time at some point. I already know that's going to be a nightmare. It's sort of interesting. I really like In My Head, and I'm really meh about I Do. And I need to listen to both of them several times more to identify exactly why. But there is some small fundamental difference, like small but very important line between the two of them, where one of them I really enjoy and one of them I'm like, right? I've talked to a few people who feel similarly, and I think all of us have like similar feelings about anthems in general too. And I think I Do is just more, it's just like that much more anthem-y, right?
하지만
두 개 같이 들으면 진짜 좋을 것 같아요.
맞아요.
좋은 것 같아.
대신 이마이드 듣고 아이들을 들으시면 좋을 것 같아요.
오, 딱 순서가 딱 그.
맞아요. 그리고 Way Out. 이거 좀 찌질해요 가사가.
스케줄 도중 차에서 작업한 이게 이제 가사 쓰고 막
맞아요.
이건 어때?
I'm sorry.
이거 좀 찌질해요 가사.
The lyrics sound like a loser. Y'all gotta stop writing lyrics from the perspective of people you can't stand. Like, I actually am legitimately curious. I wish that interviews would ask them this, because I really am so legit curious about like why they write, they have so many songs from perspectives that they really don't empathize with. Like, and I think Changbin has mentioned before, maybe in the 8 intro, or maybe, oh gosh, maybe in the 5-star intro, one of the intros, I believe, that he likes to write from the perspective of like almost the villain, from like the antagonist, from and I totally get that. I think that, but like they've got a lot of songs from perspectives of like people they're just like like it's not even like this person, like I think a lot of people enjoy writing from the perspective of villains, but they don't even write from the perspective of villains. They write from the perspective of like, what a mediocre human, right? Like they write from the perspective of just like kind of losers, or like people who just like aren't very good at peopling. And I think that's really interesting. I think it's really, you don't get actually a lot of people who are interested in writing the perspectives of just like kind of like this person, the perspective that this person has is like they're singing this from like there's X, there's Chill, there's I Like It, there's Way Out, but I think that there's some other ones as well that are like the perspective is either like very nuanced, it's like very not black and white, or it's like just like get your shit together, man. Right? Like I don't know, learn some distress tolerance skills or something. And you don't get a lot of people who are interested in those perspectives. You don't get a lot of people who are good enough at writing those perspectives to keep audience members interested in them either. That's an even rarer situation, and I think that part of the reason why Stray Kids manages it is because they so frequently the speech impediment is getting to me right now. They so commonly have a discord, a dissonance between their sound and their lyrics, right? So, you know, a lot of people, if they're writing from the perspective of like a villain, they're going to want to write music that sounds like the perspective of a villain. If they're writing from the perspective of a breakup, they want music that sounds like the perspective of a breakup. Stray Kids really says fuck all that. And I think that makes a lot of these songs a lot more appealing to a mass audience, the exploration of these kind of just like average people who have an average level of suck, which is just not usually an interesting like route to go down. But because we still have you know, instrumentals that are intriguing in certain ways that maybe aren't 100% in alignment with how we would feel about the lyrics if we wanted to make a perfectly in alignment scenario, it actually makes it better to connect to those perspectives because we're connecting to the song in a way that we wouldn't if, like, you don't want... If you're writing about kind of just like being mediocre and like kind of iffy right then, what are you gonna do to match that in your instrumentals? Like make them just kind of like average listening? Oh, you know. So I think that's how they get away with it. But I'm super curious about why they enjoy it so much, because they do seem to enjoy writing from those perspectives, and I think that's just really interesting, and I'm curious about what inspires that exploration in them.
가사가
스케줄 도중 차에서 작업한 이게 이제
Also, that's insane. Well, we were on a schedule in a car, and so we figured out how to write some lyrics. I think this also speaks to, though, they've brought up they were talking, I think, in I want to say like the Two Kids Rooms, about like some of the ways that they've struggled with each other, and especially as they've gotten busier, like how they stay connected as a group and continue writing as a production team. And probably learning how to write in a fucking car is an important part of that.
이게 이제 가사 쓰고 막
맞아요.
이건 어때 창빈아 막 이러면서 맞아. 그래서
이게 좀 오래된 노래입니다.
맞아.
근데 이런 거랑 좀 고집하는 것 같아요. 우리가
Sorry, I missed that.
막 이러면서 맞아. 그래서
이게 좀 오래된
So it's a
노래입니다.
pretty old song. Okay, so
이런
they
거랑
didn't
좀
really...
고집하는 것 같아요. 우리가 그때 세대 그냥 그
또 좋아해서
시대의 그
하잖아.
감성을 워낙에
좋아해서,
좋아하면서 그 멜로디도 그렇고
그래 야
그런
생각
리프,
그치.
기타 리프. 그래서 어쨌든 이것도 우리가 만들고 싶어서 만든 노래다.
맞아요.
하고 싶어서 한 노래고.
다음에 그날
원래는 이거 제가 너무 욕심내는 곡이라서 원래 스플로 예전에 하려고 했다가 그것보다는 앨범에 넣어서 더 많은 분들과 이 노래 공유하고 싶다라는 생각이 들어서
언제 만들었어요?
이것도
그날
2,
만든
3년
거잖아요.
전, 네, 그날 만들었죠.
헐 그날이었어?
네, 그날이.
전날 말고?
전날 말고 이날 말고 그날입니다. 이게 되게 특별한 노래예요. 그날 만들어서 제목을 그날로 지으신 거잖아요.
맞아요.
맞아요.
맞습니다.
Wow. What a helpful set of words.
되게 좋은 노래고요.
네.
미니멀한 노래입니다.
맞아요. 노래가 되게 또 한이스러워요.
그리고 마지막 트랙이 This is the best.
Wow, that one just sped by. They really meant it when they said that when Han was saying that he didn't
분들과 이 노래
want to get
공유하고
into it that
싶다라는
much,
생각이
huh?
들어서
언제 만들었어요?
이것도
그날
2,
만든
3년
거잖아요.
전, 네, 그날 만들었죠.
헐 그날이었어?
네, 그날이.
전날 말고?
전날 말고 이날 말고 그날입니다. 이게 되게 특별한 노래예요. 그날 만들어서 제목을 그날로
I can't stand them. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. I cannot stand them.
맞아요.
맞아요.
맞습니다.
I can't stand them.
되게 좋은 노래고요.
네.
미니멀한 노래입니다.
맞아요. 노래가 되게 또 한이스러워요.
그리고 마지막 트랙이
This is the festival version.
맞아요.
이것도 진짜 새로운 도전. 그 아마 릭스도 공감할 텐데, 그러니까 호주에서 또 하드코어 EDM이라는 그 장르가 있어.
오.
하드코어라 해야 돼. 핫스타일? 그치, 핫스타일 EDM이 있는데 그걸 한번 해보고 싶었어.
Yeah.
꼭 해보고 싶었어. 그래서 욕심 부려서 했는데 와, 수정을 몇 번이나 했는지. 진짜. 아무튼 그 결과물 자체는 너무 잘 나온 것 같아서.
네, 맞습니다.
대충 이렇게 트랙별로 얘기를 해봤으니 한번 이제 우리 유식해져야 되는 시간이 왔어요.
주제가 있는데 타이틀과 트렌드.
토론하는 거야?
네, 이건
네,
거의
약간.
토론이에요.
오케이!
야,
각자의
let's
생각을
go!
좀 얘기를 하면 될 것 같아요.
좋아요.
오케이. 각자 생각하는
And did my internet just like very suddenly drop? For reasons mostly being that I forgot to reset my internet before I did this. And it's the end of the day, and my internet hates working at the end of the day. Okay, I think I'm back. Maybe? Yeah, there we go. I don't know if I was actually gone, but I was gone from me, and that's what's important.
좋은 타이틀의 조건.
좋은 타이틀의 조건
네.
세 가지만 뽑아보자. 각자 생각하는 세 가지.
생각하는 주제가 있는데
Titles and trends. Okay.
타이틀과 트렌드.
토론하는 거야?
네, 이건
네,
거의
Oh, are
토론.
we debating?
야,
각자의
let's
생각을
go!
좀 얘기를 하면 될 것 같아요.
오케이.
오케이. 각자 생각하는 좋은 타이틀의 조건.
좋은 타이틀의 조건
네.
세 가지만 뽑아보자. 각자 생각하는 세 가지.
그래. 각자 형부터 하시죠.
일단 꽂혀야 돼.
아하.
오케이.
꽂히는 거 있어야 되고
꽂히고
Gotta be a good
익숙하면서
hook.
신선해야 돼.
익숙하면서
그래야
신선하게.
거부감이 없어.
맞아.
그리고 가사는 간단해야 되지만 그래도 그 만든 사람의 의도는 또 느껴져야 돼.
This is I really like hearing this because I've been sort of curious about this, about the types of songs that they choose as titles versus the types of songs that they choose as B tracks. And I think that this also again speaks like this is so genre based about what the answer is going to be, or not even genre but like industry based about what the answer is going to be and like what your goals are. So like I think that answer that he just gave, which is not a bad answer, I don't think any of these answers are necessarily going to be wrong, the answer that he just gave is a very business oriented answer, right? That's an answer for you make a title track to get up in the charts, to sell albums, to, you know, build stream time, to get people hooked. Which doesn't mean that you're not inputting your own artistry and creativity, but that's the answer that he just gave, right? Of it's got to show the artist, but it's got to hook people. And not just literal hook, but it's got to have enough of this like trend plus newness that keeps people, that like makes people want to listen to it, right? That resistance that he's talking about, that makes people amenable to listening to it and also listening to it several times, right? The lyrics have to be simple, right? Mass appeal. So he's talking there from a like industry that is focused on industry and business perspective. Not necessarily like from a philosophical as an artist perspective. And I appreciate that, right? I think he's being honest there. And I appreciate that he's being honest instead of falsely pretentious. Because I think a lot of artists would try to spin an industry answer, a business answer that is a real answer, into an artistry answer, and it would come off as like that doesn't feel quite real. What he just says feels real about you know what they're talking about, you know.
근데 이게 너무 어려운 게 간단할수록 더 잘 꽂혀. 대신 금방 질려. 맞아.
또 유치해.
그리고 유치해.
근데 안
맞아.
유치해야 돼.
맞아, 맞아.
Oh, okay. Y'all write corny ass lyrics. And we love you for it. What you're saying is that it has to be the right amount of corny. Where I can still make it corny, but it's not going to be so corny that you're going to want to vomit from it. As though hip hip hooray is not a corny ass lyric. It's the fucking cappuccino and Americano aren't corny ass lyrics. You write corny lyrics. This is part of your brand. Embrace it. We all know it.
그래서 어려운 거예요.
그래서 우리가 그렇게 고민하고 그리고 막 우리끼리도 막 아니 우리 반복해야 돼. 아니면 좀 더 꼬아야 될 것 같은데 이런 토론도 많이 했었고
그치.
작업하면서도
이게 근데 진짜로 뭐라 해야 되냐? 좋은 가사의 기준이 옛날에는 뭔가 멋있어야 된다 생각했거든요. 멋있는 말, 뭔가 비유 잘하고 너무 좋죠. 랩 가사 쓰거나 이럴 때 너무 필요한 그거예요. 근데 사실 그룹 노래에서 잠깐 딱딱딱 사람들한테 대중들한테 꽂히게끔 들리는 가사는 그 심플해야 돼요. 심플해야 되는데 그게 뭐냐에 따라서 되게 유치해지고.
And this is what's also interesting, though, is that, again, when we're talking about the concept of what are good lyrics, just like when we're talking about the concept of like good anything, it's so multidimensional, right? And contextual. So what is high quality lyricism in rap? What is high quality lyricism in group work? What is high quality lyricism in you know, a ballad? What is, you know, high quality lyricism is going to be different for different things, but also what is high quality lyricism in something that still hooks you? So how do you have high quality lyrics that are still simple? You can have simple lyrics that are still metaphorical, right? Farming is a very, like, it's quite simple lyrically. It's still metaphorical. Is the metaphor super deep? No. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be. But high quality lyrics can also be, you know, deep and complex. And some people in some contexts would say that they still need to be approachable to the general public, especially if you are trying to create a hit, right? If you are trying to be trendy, if you are trying to be on charts, high quality lyricism are lyrics that are both approachable and interesting enough. But that also just looks different because also high quality lyricism, when you're writing for something that, let's say people like rap, far fewer people expect to be able to easily, quickly sing along with rap. And not the entire song is rap, but but that's going to change the way that you write lyrics for that, because you don't necessarily need people wanting to go sing it at karaoke. You know, so again, we come to this idea of like, what is goodness here? What is high quality here? And a lot of it is going to just depend on your goals and what you are trying to accomplish. What they're not saying, but are deeply implying and kind of saying, is that all of this stuff is in the context of trying to accomplish both a song they are proud of producing that is going to be a hit. You know?
이게 되게 쿨하고 힙하고 되게 멋있을 때가 있는데 그 선택하는 거가 제일 큰 고민인 것 같아요. 옛날에 뭐 이렇게 막 이렇게 만들어 보려고 하고 이렇게 해보려고 이런 게 되게 신경 썼다면 요즘은 어떻게 간단하게 사람들의 귀에 꽂히게 들리게 할까?
맞아.
그러면서 이거의 주제를 전달할 수 있을까? 약간 이런 게
뭔가
제일 어려운 거.
진짜 근데 이게 그 리스너분들의
They do.
귀도 바뀌었다고 느끼는
They
게
absolutely do.
진짜 옛날에는 가사가 많고 어려워서 다 외웠거든. 내가 팬이었던 입장에서는
뭔가 가사 위주로 많이 들었죠, 사람.
내가 팬이었던 입장에서는 진짜 내가 좋아하는 가수의 노래만 아니더라도 정말 많은 가수분들의 이제 가사라든가 멜로디라든가 그런 걸 알고 있었는데 뭔가 지금은 좀 더 이제 가사가 단순해졌음에도 불구하고 거의 다 훅만 아는 게 조금 이게
What they're talking about, but they're not saying they're talking about, is, of course, the TikTok effect. And actually, a lot of people who know a lot more about music trends, and music development than I do, talk about sort of this phenomena of things in songs we are losing because listeners' attention is so much more limited now in many ways. And also like some of the like trends that are trendy in very specific types of ways. I watched a really great video recently on the like Gen Z sound. There's this particular sample that is just fucking everywhere. It's like Pachelbel's Canon in D, which was, you know, the millennial sound. Not even just that. Pachelbel's Canon in D has haunted all of us for all of eternity. But you know, they're speaking to this effect of people, and this is why songs are short now, right? Like my bitching about I want 3-minute songs to come back. The reason why songs are shorter is because songs are being made to become TikTok trends. And it is something you have to consider when making a song is, can 15 seconds of this go viral? Is that possible? Do we think it is likely? That is a very, very important part from a business perspective of production right now. I mean, I think like Sueco is someone I think about with this, is that, you know, now Sueco is making a lot of like serious rock music, but went viral for a pretty simple beat that, you know, had pretty shitty lyrics but was really fun and addictive to listen to. And he purposefully went through this effort of trying to make it viral on TikTok so that he could become popular enough to eventually make the type of music that he wanted with enough of a fan base to like survive. Like it was a very intentional series of events. Doechii sings about this in one of her songs on their songs. Sometimes artists' pronouns get updated, and I don't remember which artists are which. Okay, Wikipedia still has her listed as her, so I might just be getting my artists confused. You know, but she has a song where she talks about this, right? Stay saying she doesn't watch the intros because they're too long. Yeah, I mean, a lot of, so something that's been on Threads recently is is Stays talking about how they don't read the lyrics of the songs. They don't read the translated lyrics. Which is wild to me. It's wild to me to stand a group and listen to all of their songs and not look up the lyrics. But a lot of people do it. People don't really know what they're listening to much anymore. And everything is very quick. And all of our attention is lost somewhere else. So that's what they're talking about now, is like, yeah, it did used to be that there was more opportunity to have these songs. I mean, the that you'd, yeah, like all sing along in the car too, right? I'm thinking about, you know, fucking Journey or whatever. And now it's hooks, or like a pre-chorus, or, you know, whatever the bit is, and it's all just bits. It's all shorts. Everything is fucking shorts. And kudos to these boys for being able to bitch about this in such a professional way that doesn't sound like bitching. I would not, in their shoes, be able to be so chill about that change and the fact that, like, music has had to simplify itself to a point sometimes of meaninglessness, not always, but sometimes, in order to, like, make people pay any attention to the music that they're listening to, you know?
바뀌어진 것 같아. 그래서 훅을 진짜 쉽게 써야 되고
벌스를 워낙에 사람들이 기억을 안 해주다 보니까 못하다 보니까 그 벌스마저도 기억하게끔 단어 선택이 정말 더 중요한 거죠.
사실 이게 물론 우리는 곡을 만들면서 제일 많이 들어준 건 당연히 우리 스테이가 많이 들어주니까 가사도 신경을 써야 되고 많은 걸 신경 써야겠지만 또 어쩔 수 없이 이제 대중분들에게도 좀 친숙하게 다가가기 위해서 타협을 해야 되는 부분이 있단 말이야.
있죠.
God, and that's a really hard line, right? When you know that you have, okay, we have dedicated fans who we want to make music that we actually think is great and has interesting lyrics and is, like, meaningful for. And we want to appeal to the general public. This is really where artistry and business eat each other. So this is something that we talk about a little bit in games, is that like a lot of things that'll happen in game design and like hierarchical, like very corporate situations, is that you'll get people with these amazing like ideas, mock-ups, designs, things that are really interesting and intriguing. And the more layers of corporate those things have to go through, the more watered down they become and the less intriguing they become. However, increasingly globally, like, monopolies are just increasing everywhere, right? Like, that's sort of how monopolies work, is that as monopolies increase. And so what happens is that more and more things have to go through all of these layers of corporate, and more things are expected to appeal to general public instead of a specific audience. Now, that's not like super possible. You really can't make something that appeals to like generally everyone. That doesn't work. And in fact, you see that a lot of the actually most popular things are made for an audience that is a large enough audience, but also a passionate enough audience to make the thing big if they actually really invest in it. But a lot of corporate, a lot of business wants to make art generally appealing. This is part of the reason why we get so many spin-offs and so many spin-offs and so many spin-offs, is like, oh, this thing was generally appealing. We can just keep making it and maybe it'll keep being generally appealing. And what it means is that everything is kind of watered down and nobody's really particularly passionate about any of their media because all of the media is like, fine, I guess. It's fine. I don't remember it. It was fine. Right? Because everything fascinating about it gets taken out because it is not generally appealing enough. So this is, what they're talking about is something that's actually very, very difficult and something that we are like globally struggling with as far as the media landscape is concerned. So a very interesting point that I think is very worth like keeping in the back of one's mind.
그래서 난 요즘 곡 작업이 제일 어려운 것 같아. 그래서 그래서
맞아요.
그 타협점을 너무 찾아야 되다 보니까
맞아요. 그럼 한이가 생각하는 타이틀, 좋은 타이틀 조건은 뭐예요?
난 진짜 단순함.
네.
그리고 너무 트렌드에 따라갈 필요는 없지만 너무 멀리 있어서도 안 되는 그것과
맞지.
그리고 마지막에 이제 스트레이키즈의 비주얼.
Visuals.
타이틀의
그건
조건이랑
있어야 돼요.
무슨 상관이죠?
어? 왜냐면 우린 자켓을 또 찍고 뮤직비디오도 찍어야 하기 때문에
오케이.
스트레이키즈 엄청난
맞는
비주얼.
말이에요 또.
맞는 말이긴 해.
뭔 말인지 알겠어. 네.
우리 이제 얼굴 안 나오고 뮤비 나오면 얼마나 실망하시겠어.
맞아요.
스테이가.
그치.
무조건 있어야 돼 우리 타이틀엔.
저 같은 경우는 뭐 하나 똑같아요.
I hope they come up with a music video that does not have. Well, doesn't Beautiful not have anyone's faces in it? I hope they soon come out with another music video that has no one's faces in it. Oh my gosh, I hope they all get like VTube, like versions of them, and all of the packaging and all of everything is just through like kind of subpar VTuber like overlays. I think that'd be really great. I think that's a great concept, and I think that I should be paid money for it. Yeah. That's my opinion.
거의 비슷한데 꽂혀야 되고 신선해야 돼요. 신선해야 되지만 그 자기 색깔에 안 맞는 신선함은 너무 거부감이 들죠. 자기 색깔을 유지하면서의 그 신선함이
그렇지.
있어야 되고. 그러니까 스트레이키즈 음악으로서 얘기를 하는 거죠. 뭐 세 번째는 무대죠. 무대가 그려지냐 안 그려지냐, 우리가 이걸로 날아다닐 수 있냐 인 것 같아요. 아무리 노래가 좋아도 이 노래로 무대가 재미가 없으면은.
They've brought this up before, and I think I've mentioned that they've brought this up before. And this is something that like JYP as a company really focuses on, is that your performances have to be incredible. And so they make their songs with a performance in mind. They've all sort of talked about this to an extent on occasion, right? Like I think Hyunjin's sort of mentioned that sometimes when Chan like makes a beat, he'll send it off to Hyunjin, and Hyunjin will be like, yeah, I could see like moments here, here, and here where there could be like a really solid dance break or things like that. So yeah, that's another, obviously, and that's a very particular idol consideration, right? This is about the media as a whole rather than just the song.
보는 사람도 재미없어요. 왜냐면 우리가 무대로 바이럴이 많이 됐던 그룹이다 보니까 그 무대가 우리가 즐기지 못하면은 안 돼요. 그래서 멤버들이 되게 또 고마운 거는 그 무대를 상상하면서 우리 곡을 들어줘요.
맞아.
곡만 들으면은 안 돼요.
그치.
그러면 이제 발라드 좋죠. 발라드 듣고 싶을 때 발라드가 좋은 거고.
그치.
그러면 안 되니까. 근데 그런 걸 멤버들 다 알고 있기 때문에 항상 뭔가 저희 색깔에 맞는 좋은 옷을 입고 나오게 되는 것 같아서.
질문 하나 있어. 그러면 각 최고의 타이틀곡. 와, 난 이 곡은 진짜 최고의 타이틀곡인 것 같다. 스키즈 말고.
스키즈 왜?
아, 스키즈 왜? 오.
난
Other than
G드래곤 선배님 삐딱하게. 난 그거 최고의 타이틀이라고 생각하거든.
아, 인정이긴 해.
인정이긴 해.
최고의 타이틀이야.
아, 인정.
가사며 모든 거
다 그냥 컨셉부터 뮤비부터
다,
그냥
맞아.
그냥 너무 센세이션했고.
맞아.
I don't know enough
자,
about
아파트.
it.
아파트. 아파트.
인정.
아파트 너무 갖고 싶은 노래야.
완전 인정.
난 세븐. 난 다 인정이긴 한데.
아,
난
세븐 인정이지.
세븐 인정.
그룹곡 중에 그러면?
그룹곡 중에
아, 너무 명곡이 너무 많아가지고.
난 비교적 최근이긴 한데 봄, 여름, 가을, 겨울.
최고죠.
벚꽃 엔딩.
버스커.
봄바람 비자리.
이거는 계절을 너무 잘 탔고.
그렇지.
가사든 뭐든 멜로디든 분위기든.
그냥 매년 듣고 싶어지는 노래죠.
우리도 그런 명곡을 한번 만들어 보자고.
화이팅. 화이팅.
Changbin didn't give us a group song.
될 수도 있잖아.
yes. This and that.
This and that. 그리고 또 이런 또 재밌는 질문인데, 셋이 작업할 때 각자 절대 양보하지 않는 영역. 양보를 아예 절대 안 하는 영역은 없어요, 사실.
맞아.
왜냐면 셋이라서 다수결이 항상 있어요.
있어야 돼.
2대1이 돼요.
응.
그러면 1이 양보를 할 수밖에 없어요.
얼마 전에도 우리 뭐 만들 때
항상 그렇죠.
그렇지.
다수결로 해가지고
맞아요.
그 진짜 딱 한 포인트였어. 딱 한 포인트.
맞아요.
따따따따따따였는지
아, 그거요.
따따따따따였는지.
박자예요, 박자.
맞아.
그 따라 부르기 쉽게 할 거냐, 아니면 듣기 편하게 할 거냐.
맞아,
약간
맞아,
이런
맞아.
느낌의 그
어.
노래였는데.
Oh.
아, 맞다.
그때 현방에서.
맞다.
그래서 각자 양보하지 않는 영역은 딱히 없습니다. 서로
네,
고집은
없어.
부려.
Yeah, I think that when you're doing group creative work, you simply can't have that kind of pride and be able to continue working well in a group. Um I think that like for some songs perhaps you can have a certain point of like pride or passion or like feel really confidently about something, but if you do, you have to be able to back up why. Right? If both of the other people are like, I don't really know that I understand why this matters to you so much, you have to learn to be able to communicate that, or else like it's just pride without meaning. Um and so I think that is generally wise. Now, to throw on my dialectic behavioral therapy hat, the questions about compromise are interesting because, you know, a lot of times when this is obviously in relational, like personal relationships, but it also can happen a lot in solving logistical, like solving problems, solving creative problems, things like that. Is like what we say in DBT is that like we really don't like the concept of compromises, because the whole point of a compromise is like nobody's really happy with that. And nobody being particularly happy is not like how we build happy, healthy relationships. So instead, we find what are our underlying values and how can we meet both of those, right? So a really common example is like this couple receives $100,000 from like as a I don't know, for some reason they get $100,000. And there's two very different opinions on what to do with that $100,000, right? One of them thinks that they should save the money for the future, put it in a retirement fund, not touch it. One of them thinks that they should like spend it on things now, and they should like you know go out and go on a really nice vacation, do like XYZ, like have all of these things that the two of them can enjoy doing now. Now the compromise, quote unquote, would be like spend half of it now and put half of it in retirement or whatever that is. Nobody's really happy with that. Like usually nobody's really happy with that. You know, if this is a conflict, then probably nobody's super happy about it. If it's not really a conflict and people are like, yeah, sure, we could just do that, like then it's not really a conflict, right? And if it's a conflict, that doesn't feel very good. What we can do instead is we look at like what's the underlying values. Well, one partner wants financial stability, financial safety, safety for the future, and to feel confident about the future. One partner values ensuring that like life is worth living while we're living it. You know, I want to be able to enjoy my life while I have it and not just wait for the future. Okay, so how can we meet both like stabilizing, increasing a financial stability for the future and having an enjoyable time now? Well, maybe what this looks like is having a more tangible investment. Maybe this looks like, okay, well, could you like purchase like a small vacation cabin like a couple hours away? I have a couple friends who bought a yurt recently, like a really nice yurt. You know, some type of thing that is an investment that value does increase, or at least maintains, but that also gives you the opportunity to do interesting things that you weren't doing before, right? So we sort of try to find like what are the actual important values here, and how can we meet both of those values instead of trying to say like, well, these are the implementation details for those values, let's compromise on them. And in creative work, you can do very similar things. Eventually you get to implementation details and maybe you do have to compromise, and maybe one person's like, I don't think this is the right direction, but like I'm outvoted. That does happen sometimes. Sometimes you get into rifts in the road with like how you are implementing something. And if all of the values are in alignment and you are still working on something with the same fundamental values, with the acknowledgement of those values, usually those conflicts are not as significant and don't have that like kind of both long-term ego impact and long-term team impact. So that's a thing to consider about how you work with other people in sort of like these group projects scenarios, is that like compromising is sort of our worst case scenario. You know, instead of compromising, how can we make everyone happy? Right.
그래서 각자 양보하지 않는 영역은 딱히 없습니다. 서로
네,
고집은
없어.
부려도
맞아요.
결국에는
그치.
세 명이라서
내가 그렇게 좋다 생각하면은 최선을 다해서 설득을 하려 해.
맞아.
하죠. 하지만
그래도 아니면 아닌 거죠.
다수결은 못 이겨.
그리고 나는 이제 애매할 것 같은데 하면 진짜 바로 수정해가지고
아니, 서로 이제 모니터를 하잖아요. 모니터를 하다 보면 얘가 뭘 가져왔는지를 듣다 보면은 이건 왜 이렇게 한 거지? 예를 들면 뭐 애매해. 그러면은 뭐 기분 나쁘고 이런 거는 너무 초짜야. 너무 그런 애들은 음악하면 안 돼요. 진짜로. 자기 음악에서 누군가한테 피드백을 들었을 때 기분 나쁘면은 음악하면 안 돼요.
그렇지.
Hi, Stay. Can we make several GIFs of this and use it every time the fandom gets mad because someone had an opinion? Like, can we? Whether it's about music or about like their choices as people, because like also they're not just musicians, they are creatives, they're entertainers, they are idols. So like and you know, sometimes there are critiques about things, and like that's okay. They're allowed to decide what critiques are valuable and what critiques aren't. And it seems like they're mature enough to know that. So maybe we as a collective can also be mature enough to know that. Thank you.
모든 부분에서 창작에 있어서는. 근데 뭐 누가 예를 들면 애매하대. 애매하다 하면은 거기서 고집을 부리면 우리 같이 만든 음악이 망하는 거기 때문에
그치.
고집을 안 부리고 항상 그럼 수정을 해야겠다. 이건 아닌 거구나. 그러니까 이런 게 항상 있어서.
확실히 팀 음악을 할 때는 내 귀보다 둘의 귀를 더 믿게 돼.
맞아요.
그러니까 내 개인 곡을 만들 때는 믿을 게 나밖에 없거든. 내가
맞아요.
만들어야 되고 내가 확인하고 컨펌을 해야 되는데 이건 팀곡이잖아.
맞아요.
팀곡이고 이 곡으로 우리가 세상을 나가는 건데.
맞아요.
그거에 대해서 내 개인적인 그 기준이 흔들린다면 무조건 내 귀를 난 형들한테 맡기는 편이야.
그다음에 여기서 이제 갈리면은 최종 결정은 여기서 해줘야 되고.
그치.
보통은 우리 셋 중에 누가 애매하다고 하면은 그 만든 사람도
느껴.
미리 느껴. 미리
그리고 들릴 때부터 야 이거 애매하지 않냐 들어봐 이래. 이미 깔고 이미 니즈를 일단 깔아놓고 들려줘.
그치.
그래서 그거 괜찮은데? 그래? 하면 이제
그치.
그다음에 이게 잠깐 이런 타임라인 어때? 난 잘 모르겠는데.
맞아. 하나 깔아줘야 돼 이렇게.
난 잘 모르는데 어때? 괜찮은 것 같은데. 그래. 오케이.
맞아. 서로 얘기 알고 있는 작업할 때 각자의 습관들. 내 습관들 난 다는.
This is they have such a healthy working dynamic, and I know they worked really fucking hard for that. I think people often assume that Stray Kids just like naturally work well together, but they have talked about how fucking hard they all worked to have such a good working team dynamic. And it's so clear how much it's paid off. And I think that it goes to show to everyone that like going through the effort of making your team dynamic work is smart and worth it. And I know that that might seem obvious, but as somebody who used to spend time coaching for team dynamics, I can really assure you that it is, you know, people really think that that's not necessary work. And let me tell you, it really is. So if you're somebody who has the power to say yes or no to, you know, having people help you make your team dynamics work, please take Sriracha's example and let people help you with making your team dynamics work because it's worth it when they do.
그 이제 세팅 습관이 이제 크지. 애들이 들었을 때 녹음하고 들었을 때 어느 정도 레벨이 맞아야 되고 막 이런 거.
아까 중구난방인 저희 둘에겐 꼭 필요한 사람이죠.
맞아요.
힘들긴 해.
그래요?
그래요?
근데
힘들어요?
좀만 더 해줄 수 있어요.
네.
더 해줘. 걱정하지 마.
좀만 참아줬으면 좋겠어요.
나의 내 습관 나는 약간 녹음할 때
똑같이 따라할 수 있어. 자 이게 있어. 그러면 우리 그 뭐야 그 필터 있으면은 이렇게 해서 이렇게.
아니야 형 약간 어깨 올라가고
어깨 올라가고
내 습관이 계속 랩을 이렇게
랩할 때 이렇게 맞아요.
자꾸 그 옛날에 뭐였지 우리 청담 살았을 때 그때 우리 디스트릭 라인 만들 때인가 그때도 내가 녹음하는 거 웃겨가지고 찍었거든요. 그때 아마 찾으면 있을 거야. 근데 그때도
이게 그 필터 바깥으로 소리 나와서 이렇게 해야 돼요.
그러니까 필터가 이렇게 했으니까 앞에서는 못하니까 계속 여기서 이렇게 하는 거야.
나 이거 좀 맞아. 내 습관이야. 나도 알아. 어깨 계속 올라가고
계속 올라가는 거 올라가는 게.
나 이거 그 우리 메이킹 영상 녹음 메이킹 영상 보는데
Han's
그때
face
녹음하는데 어깨
here is exceptional. Just a lot of exceptional Han faces this episode. I'm a real big fan of these over exaggerated Changbin faces from Han. I like this is really incredible. This makes me really joyful. Thank you, Han, for this. This is even better backwards frame by frame. And this is really beautiful. I'm really
필터가
happy
이렇게
right
했으니까
now.
앞에서는 못하니까 계속 여기서 이렇게 하는 거야.
나 이거 좀 맞아. 내 습관이야. 나도 알아. 어깨 계속 올라가고
계속
이렇게 하는 게
올라가는
있어.
거 올라가는 게.
나 이거 그 우리 메이킹 영상 녹음 메이킹 영상 보는데 그때 녹음하는데
Yeah,
어깨
we all know he does that.
그래 내가 이거 들고 하는 게 편한가 봐.
그래서 그런가 봐.
맞아.
들고 해야 되나 봐.
들어도 올라가고
올라가는데 이런 거.
그래? 그렇구나.
뒤태 이렇게.
맞네. 어깨가 왜 이렇게 올라갈까 모르겠네.
아니 뭐.
Yeah, what tension is going on there?
이거 이럴 땐 서로
Probably
건드리면 안
something with
된다.
the way that he's
없는
like
것 같은데
breathing or
작업할 때는
something. I have to
필요가
imagine.
우린 최대한 다 건들 건 다 건들잖아.
진짜
녹음하는데
많이 건드려. 한 다음에 이거 하면 못 쓰거든. 그거 못 쓰거든.
아 그건 있는 것 같은데. 그 뭐라 하지?
용복이가 왜 저런 거
받아봐봐.
받아볼까요?
릭스인데?
S Felix.
용복아. 형 촬영 중이야.
Hi Felix.
Hi Felix.
인사 한 번에 인사.
무슨 촬영해?
우리 스리라차.
스리라차 팟캐스트.
아, 잘 자고 있어?
이거 뭐
야, 뭐 협의된 거야? 왜 이렇게 말투가 방송 분야에?
아니 방금 전까지는 저 사장. 저 사장 뭐해?
카톡 내가 물어볼게. 미안.
아, 오케이.
방에서 미안해. 즐거운 촬영.
I love that they kept this in. That makes me really happy. They were like, this is so entertaining. This is such a cute moment. We're just going to keep it in. Like,
보내시오.
바이. 네바.
수고하세요.
예.
뭐였더라?
형만의 디테일이 있어?
난 있어.
뭔데?
뭐 나만의 디테일은 근데 일단 난 제일 중요한 게 가사 배치. 되게 계산적으로 해야 돼. 그러니까 이게 있어. 1, 2, 3, 4를 꼭 정해놓고 1에 들어갈 거, 2에 들어갈 거, 3에 들어갈 거, 4에 들어갈 거. 그러니까 예를 들면
줄?
예, 줄. 그거 예를 들면 가사를 순서대로 일단 안 써. 막 중구난방으로 쓰고서 그 다음에 이제 순서 배치를 할 때가 많아.
그러니까 이 얘기를 했으니까 다음엔 이게 나와야지.
그런 것도
그다음 이런
있죠.
것도
네,
있고.
맞아요. 근데 그 다음 얘기를 쓰기 전에 다른 걸 써더라도 가사 배치를 또 따로 한다.
와 근데 우리 만약에 뭐그 웨이아웃처럼 둘이 작업하는 곡이 있어. 그러면 우리 둘이 약간 그런 얘기 제일 많이 해. 참에 내가 이 얘기를 했으면 그러면 앞에는 이런 얘기가 나오겠지? 그래서 그쵸. 형 근데 제가 이 얘기를 해가지고 여기 이제 바꿔야 될 것 같아. 그러면 그러네 이러면서 또 막
진짜?
엄청 이렇게.
그리고 그 작업할 때 녹음할 때 디테일은 약간 난 일단 제일 중요한 건 그 끝. 맨 끝에
끝처리.
끝 처리.
끝처리 중요하지.
다음 넘어가기 위한.
그치. 그리고 다음 파트 나올 때 그 연결.
맞아요.
맞아.
모르겠어. 나는 디테일을
그래서 그런 거야.
딱히 신경을 써본 적이
That doesn't surprise me at all. These sort of natural places where they fall in, and where one of them is strong and one of them is weaker, right? Like there's going to be differences in how they manage their creativity. It doesn't surprise me at all that like Chan and Changbin are far more methodical about their creation, and that they're going to be a little bit more about creating lyrics that fit into the method, and like it's kind of like a solving a puzzle, whereas Han is a little less detail oriented about that. Like I think that's very on brand for all of them.
신경을 써본 적이 없어서 그런 걸까? 없어서 그런 걸까?
장난이야.
나는 당연히 이제 뭔가 형들처럼 계산을 못하는 것도 있는데 일단 가사 자체를 나는 그렇게 생각하면서 써본 적이 단 한 번도 없어.
이거 너무 신기해.
나는 일단 그냥 나와야 돼. 뭐가 나오고 한 다음에 보여주고 괜찮으면 컨펌이야 그냥 나는.
근데 한이 한이 중에 그런 매력이 있어.
그런 매력이 있으니까. 그리고 그럼으로써 또 이제 다양한 새로운 스케줄 노래가 나오는 거니까.
좋은 것 같아요.
나는 후작업 디테일이.
형은 후작업 디테일 진짜 빡세게 보죠 진짜.
오케이. 후작업.
그래서 뭐 화음, 코러스 뭐 이런 거 다 해야 되는 느낌이야.
그치.
근데 진짜 형처럼 이제 약간 마지막에 빡 잡는 사람이 있으니까 마지막에 곡이 정리가 잘 되는 것 같아 나는.
맞아.
형이 있어서. 진짜 앨범
The amount of trust that they must put in like having this group of them really gives them so much ability to just like trust the process, as it were, that I think that that's sort of what Han is speaking to about like when he's doing things on his own. And obviously they have like when they're doing more solo work or when they're working more on their own, they do still have producers who they tend to like to work with. You know, Han tends to work with Helix, and they're going to find producers who they trust with their work also in similar ways so that they can sort of trust the process still. And I think it's easier to trust the process when you trust the other people in the process with you than just trusting the process on your own. I find for a lot of people, it's just easier to trust the people they're around than it is to trust themselves, right? That's just like a very common part of being human. That doesn't mean it's a universal part of being human, but it's very, very common that for things like this, you know, okay, well, I have a lot of faith that like somewhere in the post-production this will get figured out, or I have a lot of faith that even though this doesn't sound great right now, like I know that it's going to become what it needs to become, because like, you know, I know that Chan is dedicated to post-production and Chan is so detailed, and so that's going to like he's going to kill it, you know, that kind of thing. It's what makes working in a group better. I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it, and it's going to keep being true. Like, most people actually really quite like working on group projects. It's just that you have to be working on the right group project, and you have to be working with the right group, you know. But like mostly as people, we feel much more comfortable and stable in a group project than we do in a solo project, you know.
노래 퀄리티 올리는 거는 찬이 형의 덕이 많이
맞아요.
큽니다 진짜.
정말.
네. 찬이 형의 지분이 많이
약간
커요.
포장을 많이 잘합니다.
고집. 근데 이거는 그 책임도 책임인데 그냥 음악적으로 그냥 내 고집이 진짜 큰 것 같아.
그런 사람
특히 막
있어요.
믹스 툰? 와, 나랑 싸우는 거야 그냥.
내 취향인 곡. 난 왜 형?
After You.
지금 확 떠오르는 건 난 그날이었어. 그냥 뭐라 하지? 참 미안해. 근데 약간 그날 들으면 진정이 돼.
I get all of these songs stuck in my head. I don't have to listen to them. I just wake up and then they're stuck in my head. Raining Stars also. I just wake up. I haven't listened to this song in 4 days. It's stuck in my head. Why? I don't know. Apparently they're very good at writing catchy shit. It never happens with This and That. It never happens with Run It. But like, yeah, After You, back then, and Way Out, like all three of them just randomly, I'll just exist in the world more with After You and Back Then. Those two especially, I'll just exist in the world and like, why is okay? Well, I guess I'm listening to this in my head now.
그냥 분위기 때문인지 그 부른 방식 때문인지 그냥 그런 부분에서
맞아요.
좀 약간 좀 진정되는 느낌에다가 뭐 신라면에 이제 아이두가 딱인 것 같고 약간 그런 느낌?
반응 가장 좋을 것 같은 거고. 뭐 타이틀곡이 제일 당연히 좋아야겠죠?
좋아해야지.
난 진짜 많이 힘들었어. 그러니까 그 뭐라고 해야 될까?
I feel like the one, I feel like at least on my side of the internet, which is the Pacific side of the internet, right? You know, it tends to be English speaking, and it tends to be either Australian, UK, or US or Canada. It's been farming. That one's gotten, I've seen great reception from it.
그 가사 배열 있잖아. 그것만 거의 한 5시간 했어. 훅 가사
I read that as
배열만
5
하고
years.
이렇게 할까? 아메리카노가 여기 있으니까 두 번째에 나와야 될까? 세 번째에 나와야 될까? 뭐 첫 번째에 나와야 될까?
근데 튜. We could take a coupe or a truck, vroom vroom, I got this and that.
우리 형이 멜로다인의 피카소예요.
멜로다인의
그림이
this and that.
이게 음이 되게 애매한데 그걸 안 맞추면 되게 애매해져.
이상해져.
되게 이상해져.
느낌이 안 나버리니까.
아니 이게 제일 어려웠어.
아 디센드 녹음 진짜 오래 걸렸어.
어렸어.
우리
진짜
단체 녹음이 진짜 오래 걸렸어요. 왜냐면은 진짜 쉬워 보이지만 진짜 어려워요. 그 느낌이 다인 노래라서.
근데 결과물은 난 너무 만족스러워.
형이 이제 디테일하게 수정을 보내잖아. 그럼 이제 1차 수정까지는 난 괜찮은데 근데 2차 수정부터는 뭐가 달라진 거냐고 3차 수정, 4차 수정, 5차 수정 따가고 5차 수정하면 진짜 좋다 이렇게 돼. 나는 근데 모든 앨범이 낼 때마다 사실 뭔가 인간적으로 메시지를 주려고 앨범을 한다기보다는 그냥 진짜 이번에 우리 어떤 거 들고 나왔는지 한번 봐봐. 너희들이 들었을 때는 어때? 약간 친구들한테 음악 들려주듯이 뭔가 큰 의미를 바라기보다는 좋다 안 좋다에서 확실한 피드백을 받고 싶은 거지. 나는 그 피드백을 받을 때가 제일 내가 성장할 수 있는 방법이라고 느끼거든.
Hey, what a
냉정한-
grounded, reasonable, accurate concept of art. That feedback allows for growth, and actually concept of being human. Feedback allows for growth. Feedback is important. It helps us.
제일 내가 성장할 수 있는 방법이라고 느끼거든. 왜냐면 이제 냉정한 평가를
Okay, it doesn't always help us. Some feedback is bad feedbacks. And I think that a very important part of growing as an artist and as a human is learning to figure out valuable feedback and less valuable feedback. And part of that is about knowing your audience, knowing your goals, knowing, you know, how to be able to tell if someone is saying something in good faith or not. Like understanding your perspective versus the perspective of the feedback you're getting, right? Like there are lots of ways and lots of important factors in differentiating useful feedback and like mediocre feedback and useless feedback. It is such an important life skill though, right? I've gotten really, really valuable feedback before in like workplaces and other scenarios. I've also gotten useless feedback before. One time when I was working in tech 1 year, I was told that I was too much of a cheerleader for the team and I needed to be doing more like practical logistics things. And then literally the next year, I was told that I needed to be more of a cheerleader and that I was escalating the worries of the team too much. Right. And I looked back on those two pieces of feedback and I went, I see. I'm a friendly femme in tech and I'm not going to win this one. That's useless feedback. Right. But like overall, this is an important skill to both be able to handle getting feedback and then be able to handle processing feedback in a way that allows you to adapt to it. Really important. Really hard.
듣기가 어려워. 예전에 우리가 처음 만들 때야 되게 사람들이 야 이거 별로고 이거 별로고 이렇게 딱딱딱 말해주는 게 있었는데 이제는 그렇게 말해주는 사람이 많이 없단 말이에요.
내 쉽게 많이.
아 형이 나한테 뭐라 할지 하면 안 되지. 형 연습생 생활 나보다 1년 늦겠는데.
아 진짜 선 넘었어요.
아 진짜.
왜?
형 나 진짜 연습생 때 형년 차에 나랑 눈 못 마주쳤다니까.
아 건방졌습니다.
넌 그때
아,
프리스타일 배틀 이후로 넌 이미 얘 아래야.
아 죄송합니다. 죄송합니다. 하실 말씀 더 있으시면 여기까지만 하시고 그만하시죠.
네, 그렇죠. 가자. 어쨌든 나는 항상 앨범을 낼 때마다 피드백을 듣고 싶다. 좋은 것도 좋은 건데 어떤 점이 좋았고 어떤 점이 아쉬웠는지. 왜냐면 우리가 캐치 못한 게 있을 수도 있으니까.
난 그냥 이번 앨범은 그냥 좀 멋지다라고 생각했으면 좋겠어 우리가. 그러니까 멋진 거 들고 나왔는데 그냥 이런 거.
전화.
뭐 막 크게 뭐 휘황찬란한 막 이런 걸 바라는 게 아니고 그냥 이번 앨범 멋있다 이런 느낌.
좀 멋있어. 그냥.
아 고맙다.
오케이, let's go.
난 그냥 뭐라도 확 꽂힐 정도로 기억에 남았으면 좋겠어.
임팩트가 있었으면 좋겠다.
그치, 나는 뭐 이번 This and That 기준으로 생각하면 This and That이든 아니면 카푸치노 and 아메리카노든 뭐라도 그냥
맞아요.
꽂혔으면 좋겠어.
뭐 근데 조금은 약간 좀 이런 거 있어요. 조금 외국에서 먹힐 만한 좀 밈이 되지 않을까.
항상 앨범을 내잖아. 근데 매 앨범마다 다른 마음을 가지고 시작하지는 않거든. 항상 뭔가 어떤 걸 보여줘야 될까, 어떤 걸 보여줘야 될까라는 걸 생각하면서 하다 보니까 앨범을 만들 때는 느끼는 것보다 불안함이 제일 많지. 나한테는 확신이 없는 상태에서 이제 공개가 돼버리는 거니까. 내 앨범을
I really like that he has been talking so openly about, and part of the thing I like is that him talking so openly about his anxieties helps make it clear that, like, he still has issues with anxiety, but, like, you can be a happy, functional, thriving person and still have anxiety. I think a lot of people think that Han no longer has anxiety, or they think that he has a absolutely debilitating anxiety disorder, and that if you ever say anything that he might take to heart, that you're going to... Actually, I can give a really specific example of this. During the HP Code, the Harry Potter Code debacle, you know, if you're on Threads and you've been on Threads for a minute, you'll know that I have commonly been one of the people making the Harry Potter bullshit like a known thing. I've done a lot of the letter writing stuff. I've done a lot of the education stuff. I've done a lot of that. And during the Harry Potter Code thing, I would get people telling me that how could I go after Stray Kids for something like, you know, talking up Harry Potter, which is like doing a genocide, right? How could I do that when Han has such an anxiety disorder and I'm going to send him into a panic spiral? Like, I would get people straight up telling me, and it happened multiple times. It happened several times that people would tell me that it's so important to Han, and if I kept, you know, going after how the Harry Potter franchise's money is going towards a genocide, because it is, I personally am going to make Han's anxiety become unbearable and give him panic attacks. Right? Because people simply have this very difficult idea that either you have mental health issues that are debilitating and unmanageable, or you're fixed. Right? And this is something we see in therapy, like, a lot, is that people will ask me, like, hey, how, like, I get all this anxiety about this thing, and, like, I need it to go away. How do we make it go away? And I have to explain to them, like, hey, therapy is not necessarily about making the feelings go away. It's about helping you be able to, like, manage them and cope with them and, like, not escalate on them to make them worse. Eventually, hopefully, eventually, that will lessen them. But like, we're not going to be talking over the next 2 months over like how this weekend do we make you stop feeling anxiety. Like, you're probably going to be anxious this weekend. And you might be anxious for the rest of your life. This is something that actually people also get upset with me about when talking about like mental health issues in general, whether I'm talking about them and Stray Kids or otherwise, is that it's like it spreads hopelessness to say that somebody who has mental health issues might always have that issue. And that's not the case. This is just an acceptance of reality. Sometimes people fully manage to recover from whatever their mental health issue is. Sometimes they never do. Both of these things are okay. That does not mean you can't live a full, thriving, functional life, right? And it's actually ableism, whether internalized or not, to believe that it is hopeless. It is a hopeless scenario to have a mental illness for your whole life. That's ableism. I don't think people are intending to be ableist about it, but it is ableist, right? There are some people who live their entire lives with passive suicidality. That does not mean that they do not have full, happy, thriving lives. There are some people who live their entire lives being very anxious. There are some people who, you know, it's really common that people come to therapy with the goal of like, I want to be able to get off my antidepressants. I don't want to live my full life on antidepressants. You know, I've been on them for 20 years and I want to get off my antidepressants. And like, one of the things we have to talk about is like, why? Why? And sometimes the answer is like, there's really nasty side effects or things like that. But like, why is it bad to live your life with a medication that's helping you live your life to the fullest? You know? And they're like, well, I want to be cured of depression. And it's like, well, but what if that's not on the table? Like, we don't know that that's a possibility. Maybe it is, but we don't know that. We do know that you are functioning quite well without depression right now. So like, what's the difference there? It's really, really important that we know that people can have anxieties and fears and probably still have an anxiety disorder and live a happy, full, functional life. It's really important that we know that like people do get seasonal depression and can still live a happy, full, functional life. So it's really, really meaningful, in my opinion, for people to, you know, speak openly about like, I get really anxious when I don't have control over a situation. I get really anxious when I am not certain how people respond to things. You know, we release an album and I feel I release my artwork into the world and it makes me really stressed at first. That's really like, that's great to be open about. It's I think a really positive example for people. So I love that he's been doing that, because it also shows like a level of his own acceptance towards anxieties that he has, right? Like that's phenomenal.
뭐라도 그냥
맞아요.
꽂혔으면 좋겠어.
뭐 근데 조금은 약간 좀 이런 게 있어요. 조금 외국에서 먹힐 만한 좀 밈이 되지 않을까?
항상 앨범을 내잖아. 근데 매 앨범마다 다른 마음을 가지고 시작하지는 않거든. 항상 뭔가 어떤 걸 보여줘야 될까, 어떤 걸 보여줘야 될까라는 걸 생각하면서 하다 보니까 앨범을 만들 때는 느끼는 것보다 불안함이 제일 많지. 나한테는 확신이 없는 상태에서 이제 공개가 돼버리는 거니까. 매 앨범을 낼 때마다요. 전에는 물론 설레는 것도 있고 재밌는 것도 있고 궁금한 것도 있는데 사실 창작자의 입장에서 굉장히 불안하고 무섭습니다.
We come back again to like, I feel like he has been to therapy and seen therapists and like, or at least done a significant amount of like personal self-therapeutic work, because like he's just doing naming emotions here. He's just doing a naming emotions a situation right now. This is like when I have clients and I go, yeah, like, how are you feeling as you're preparing for the album to come out? And they're like, I don't know. Fine, I guess. And I'm like, yeah, just tell me more about what that means. And eventually they learn that, like, if they don't name their emotions, I'm going to force them to name their emotions. And so they go like, well, there's, I guess, excitement and there's curiosity and there's like, it's fun and like I feel confident, but I'm also super anxious, right? Like,
재밌는 것도 있고 궁금한 것도 있는데 사실 창작자 입장에서 굉장히 불안하고 무섭습니다. 이게
It's-
정말 내가 자신이 있다고.
you just a lot of people do not have the level of self-insight to be able to identify 6 different named emotions that they feel at the same time about the same thing. A lot of people do, but I'd say most people don't. It's just not something they think about frequently enough.
하더라도. 왜냐면 내 귀가 한결같지 않다는 건 난 알고 있거든. 언젠가는 달라질 거고 내 귀가 언젠가는 들릴 날이 올 거고. 근데 그게 언제일진 나는 모르니까 항상 내기 전에는 불안하고 무섭습니다. 지금도 똑같고요. 다만 이제 형들의 귀를 믿고 이제 멤버들을 믿고 그걸 믿는 거죠. 예쁘게 봐주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
아 근데 그건 있어요. 어쨌든 지금 이 화가 그 앨범 나온 후에 나오는 거니까
맞아요.
또 저희의 비하인드 얘기를 또 들으면서 또 다시 그 앨범 들어보면
재밌겠다.
또 다른 느낌이
I think
들 것
probably will.
같아요. 특히 뭐 파밍 들으면은 와 얘네는 그러면 방에서 이거를 어떻게 한 거지? 이럴 것
진짜
같고.
미친 사람들이었어요. 형 여기서 땡땡땡땡땡 이러고.
전
있고.
이미 그 곡 작업하면서 챌린지까지 다 만들어놨으니까
맞아요. 진짜 곧 나옵니다 그거. 3시간짜리 챌린지예요.
찍진 않았는데.
3시간 좋다. 3시간 야 살 다 빠지겠다.
근데 그거
거의 1000개야 1000개.
무한반복하고서 그렇게 하면 진짜 살 빠지겠네요. 네.
털기춤 아니야?
어쨌든 좋았다. 좋은 대화였습니다. 오랜만에 이렇게 좀 뭐라고 해야 될까 생산적인 대화를 하는 것 같아서 좋았어요.
어쨌든 즐거웠습니다.
즐거웠어요. 네.
3화도 기대 많이
3화는
해주시고
진짜 엄청난 주제로 돌아올게요.
디센드 앨범 많이 들어주시고 많이 사랑해주시면 감사하겠습니다.
감사합니다.
감사합니다. 3화에서 봐요.
야.
Bye. Okay, that was fun. It was enjoyable. And I got to pause sometimes and be a therapist. And I love when the content I watch actually lets me do that. I always feel a little bad when I watch content and I was like, I did not have any opportunity to like pause and be a therapist there, actually. I'm sorry about using a lot of breath to sing, your shoulders also rise and you get a lot of tension there. Yeah, like I could see that, like if you're breathing, but it's the type of breathing, especially if you're like breathing fast and like you're singing fast, and so like maybe you're not going fully into your like stomach. Maybe some of your breath just gets a little bit stuck up here, and you're like, I could see that. I could see that. I'm gonna take a break real quick. Grab some tea. Because I didn't bring up any tea. And also, I'm hungry. Listen, there's a couple different things happening here. So I'm going to take a break real quick. And then I will be back, we'll say like 5 minutes. And we will do the intro, which I'm excited about. I have been waiting to watch this. I want to. So I'm going to, on Twitch, run an ad. And be back soon. The take a break button on YouTube runs an ad? That's not what I requested, YouTube. We'll just take a normal break. In 5 have returned with tea and a cookie. Because sometimes a bitch needs a cookie. It's just facts of life. Sometimes a bitch needs a cookie. And you know what? I think that that's the important thing that we learn every day. That sometimes you need a cookie. Sometimes we all need a cookie. Sometimes life would be better with a cookie. I don't know how many minutes it's been. I didn't actually check. I think it's been about 5. YouTube doesn't have a timestamp. Okay, speaking of YouTube, you know, I'm so sorry to my YouTubians who must deal with the realities of YouTube. But we're gonna watch the intro. It is official Stray Kids content. Why is my own live being advertised to me? YouTube, I do not need you to advertise my own live to me. I am aware that it exists. You know, I am already a participant. I do not need to participate further. Anyhow, my darlings, my dearests, my YouTubians, I'm gonna put it on, and probably in like somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes, YouTube's gonna be like, hey, what's with your copywritten content? And I'm gonna be like, YouTube, you claim that if I'm doing commentary for educational purposes that it doesn't count. And it's gonna be like, well, you have no way to argue that on a live, so we're canceling your stream and you gotta go away or else you're gonna get a copyright strike. So point is, you might have to go to Twitch. We'll see. Well, it's possible. And, regardless, this live will be on Twitch for 2 weeks for subscribers, and then eventually will show up on YouTube, even if it ends on YouTube partway through. Eventually. I still can't believe I just released a fucking video from January, from fucking Happy New Year. Happy fucking New Year. I'm so slow. I'm so sorry.
Yeah! Everything I do.
Hey, where are my captions? I need captions. Let's go put on my aggressively obnoxious captions so that all my viewers can see so well.
네, 안녕하세요. This and That으로 돌아온 3 Racha입니다. Yeah! Everything I do multiply by 2. I got this and that, this and that. Turn up. 저희가 이번
They're filming this outside of the fucking truck. Incredible. 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 What a weird fucking set. What a weird fucking set. Can you imagine having to function in this set? This is the least cozy shit I've ever seen. Look at those uncozy ass chairs. Didn't I complain about this shit last intro too? I'm suddenly remembering because I did a reaction to the last intro, and I'm pretty sure that I want to say it was Do It, and I'm pretty sure I bitched about how fucking uncomfortable the set looked then too.
This and that. Turn up. 저희가 이번에도 정말 열심히 앨범을 준비를 했는데요. 어떻게 준비했는지 이제 여기서 살짝 게스트를 불러오기 전에 얘기를 한번 해보겠습니다.
사실 앨범
Hi, internet. How you doing, buddy?
자체가 디센데시고 타이틀곡 자체도 디센데.
Okay, pal. Oh, okay, my dude.
인데 디센데시라는 그 단어 자체가
네.
음식을 못 시켰었는데
아니야, 그게 그거였어. 다른 곡을 작업하고 있는 도중에
맞아요.
잠깐 쉬는 시간에 군것질 가방이 있었어요. 그래서 그거를 이제 들고 와서
What is happening? And why? And why is the quality 360 pixels and it still can't load? Maybe this is just my internet telling me that I should be asleep. It's my internet being like, bro, you have not slept in so long. And like, you
this
should
and
be
that
doing
돌아온
that
three
instead
Racha
of
이미-
whatever you're doing right now. Maybe that's what's going on. My internet knows that this is a bad idea for me personally.
도중에
맞아요.
잠깐 쉬는 시간에 군것질 가방이 있었어요. 그래서 그거를 이제 들고 와서 형님들 이거 다 같이 뭐 당 떨어지는데
네.
드시죠.
맞아요,
그러니까 안에 뭐 있어? 그러니까 this and that 이러니까
맞아요.
this and that 괜찮은데? 해서 이제
거기서 바로 그냥 탑라인 나와버렸죠.
맞아. 그게
네,
나와가지고
I want to propose a slight modification to what happened. Because it said everyone got hooked. I want to propose that for some reason, someone got that phrase in their heads and they all just like echolaliaed it instantly. And just like half the room started saying like this and that, this and that, this and that for no good reason. And then they realized that now they had to do something with this and that. That's my proposal. I think there's a solid, like, I would give myself a solid 60% chance that actually happened to some degree.
거기서 바로 그냥 탑라인 나와버렸죠.
맞아. 그게
네,
나와가지고 그렇게 해서 탄생하게 되었습니다.
생각보다 가가지고 좋은 곡이 많이 나왔어요.
맞아.
러니 그리고 뭐
FDU. this and that.
디센데 그 재밌는 건데 제가 딱 첫날에 우리가 오자마자 송세션을 했잖아요.
요.
네, 첫날에 했던 게 그 러닛이었잖아요.
아 맞아.
그때 이제 시차 적응을 너무 잘못해가지고
맞아요.
가사 쓰다가 이렇게 계속 졸다가 해가지고 제 벌스를 거의 오후 8시? 9시쯤
그치.
다 완성해가지고
맞아.
한국어가 눈에 안 들어오는 거야. 내 눈에.
맞아.
너무 졸려가지고 이게 뭔 말하는지도 모르겠고 내가.
영상이야.
what's up? 졸려. 너무 졸려.
Yo, we're in LA.
예.
LA 엄청 넓은 들판과 집들
갱.
갱.
Honestly, I'm impressed they are able, like, I wonder what we'd get from these boys if they had like 2 months of a full night's sleep. Right? Like, I wonder what their creative process would be like not sleep deprived, because we get some real bangers out of some sleep deprived motherfuckers. What would we get if they were like fully like awake, hydrated, nutritioned, and like that had been who they were for like 3 months straight? I want to know what difference that would make. I would like to set up an experiment. I would like to set up some science around this because I am fascinated by that question. Is it like the different, because I have to imagine it would have to be similar to the difference of people who like get used to writing while like deeply intoxicated and then become sober, and how like their music and artistry changes. Like I wonder how similar the phenomena is in like the difference in how they process and create music when they're like rested, healthy, and happy versus when whatever the fuck is happening here is happening, you know?
LA 엄청 넓은 들판과 집들
Gang.
gang
Gang. Gang. Oh. So I think we need to pause on the. So it goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it has to go down. Okay, so this one can come up.
yes
Let's get it, do it, catch 성공과의 match.
No. What a cute dork. No. Nope, 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 nope. I can't do this. I can't do it. I'm not awake enough, okay? I can't do this. He's in a small room right now, too. Look, there's a small room to a small room. It's a metaphor. The meta squared for. I'm gonna shut up. It's his shoulders.
방금 언급한 뭐 Descended, 뭐 After You, 뭐 Run.
Heads up. They've detected video in my stream belonging to someone else. My stream may be turned off. No, they haven't turned it off quite yet, though. We'll go for another minute.
같은 경우는 우리 또 미국에서 만들었는데 또 이제 다른 곡들은 또 우리가 한국에서 또 작업하긴 했었잖아. 예를 들어 뭐 파밍 같은 경우에는 또 제 방에서
맞아요.
네, 제 방에서
형방이 뭐 거의 스튜디오죠. 아 근데 저희에겐 가장 편안한 작업실이죠.
몸이랑 마음이 편해야
맞아요.
작업하는 과정도 되게 수월하게 되는 것 같아서.
맞긴 해요.
참 오래전에
난
You see, and that's what I'm saying about the sleep thing, right? Your body and mind have to be at ease. That does include your body. And not just like not in pain, not just like not tension, but like awake, well hydrated, appropriately fed, right? A combination of things that I worry about separately already, and I try not to think about them in combination with these boys. Okay, now YouTube